Our next speaker, coming from Amsterdam, the Netherlands, Janet Bumpas, who will talk about another very important thing. Because we talked a lot about technology in the last few talks. Sean obviously talked about the value, the impact we need to make. And I'm delighted to have Janet Bumpas with us. She brings a wealth of experience from Silicon Valley, where she played key roles in 3 startups, one of which went public, another acquired by eBay, and third crashed and burned, and as she candidly shares. And she will share more about her background herself. But in her talk, what is great, we're going to take a step and look into how we can actually build what customers truly need. Please welcome Janet Bumpas.
Thank you very much. As you said, my name is Janet. I'm originally from San Francisco, Silicon Valley, where I was a part of 3 different startups. One was acquired by eBay and PayPal, back when they were one company. One went public, and when you go public in the United States, you have to file some documentation with the US government called an S1. So all the employees got a miniature version of an S1 in a Lucite cube. If you ever go public, if you're ever in that situation, I highly recommend this as a gift because it's a great gift for staff. And the third one can best be described by this image here. So if you see me flinch up here, that will probably be scars left over from that one. I moved over to the Netherlands about 7 years ago and embedded on a team with Philips. We launched this product here, the OneBlade. Do we have any OneBlade customers in the room? Yes. That project, it almost got canceled, and I was brought in as part of a team to turn around that launch using rapid experimentation techniques. So someone had asked before, can you do it on hardware? Yes, sir, you can. We did it. We launched it about a couple years ago. I saw this press release. Philips produced its 100 millionth blade, disrupting the entire market. So it is possible to do. I then started coaching teams. I started training. I ran a couple of accelerator programs. And so I've been in this game for a while. And over the years, I have seen like trends and fads and like windows opening and closing for new opportunities. And we are in the middle of a big opportunity window here. Gen AI. Over $20 billion is going to be estimated going into investing in Gen AI companies. It's a lot of money. And a lot of that investment, 2/3 almost, is going to early stage companies. So we're just at the start of this. And in some ways, it reminds me kind of like some sort of Cambrian explosion with AI, where a lot of new organisms or organizations are coming into being. By the way, I'm very proud of this picture. I did it myself with AI. And you'll notice there's 2 little critters in there. The one that is on this side is both of these came about in the Precambrian explosion. The one on that side is a morella, the ancestor of scorpions and spiders. And the one on the far on that side, I figured the anthropologists were having a great day when they named this one, is called a hallucinogenia, and it's unfortunately no longer with us. Bet you didn't expect to learn that at a product conference. So in this Gen AI explosion, I feel like it's a bit of a double-edged sword. We can now do things that were not at all possible before. And if you look out there, there's a lot of crazy new Gen AI things. Like, for example, here's a dog tracker that your dog can wear. It will measure your dog's activity level during the day, take into account your dog's health and nutrition needs, and then recommend the perfect dinner for your dog. Kind of think I need one of these for me. Here's another one. Using visual AI, it can recognize where Waldo is in 4.45 seconds, which is faster than most 5-year-olds. We also have companies deploying AI. You can go buy your AI toothbrush. I bet you did not know that you needed AI to brush your teeth, but you can do that. So a lot of new ideas are out there, right? A lot of things that were not possible before are happening. It's also never been easier to build with AI. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's never been easier. There was one study that was done by GitHub that said engineers coding with AI are 56% faster than those without. This also works on scale. I have here Andy Jassy, CEO of Amazon. He put out, it's actually about 2 months ago now, this long thing, overview of their AI program. And it says the number of developer hours to develop a Java 17 plummeted from 50 developer days to just a few hours. And if we scale this out across Amazon, it saves them $250 million a year. So at scale, AI, wow. It's never been easier to build with AI and cheaper and faster. The other edge of the sword, though, is, well, it's going to be competitive, right? When everybody can develop more and more features, it's going to be competitive. And we already see there's some flameouts, right? There are some headlines, some big companies are going down. This period now reminds me a little bit of like when mobile apps came out. Like a mobile store 2007 came out, but it was like really like 2012, it really started taking off. I pulled some headlines from 2012 and people were like, mobile as a competitive advantage, right? And people would be like, well, I understand you're a web shop, I'm a mobile shop, so I'm totally different. And I hear people talking about Gen AI in the same way. Like I talk to a lot of startups and I'm like, so what do you do? And they're like, well, we're Gen AI. I'm like, great, but what do you do? And they're like, no, Gen AI is difficult to do. Not a lot of people can do it, and we can do it, right? I have to say, tech differentiation has historically been a shrinking differentiator, right? If you're counting on AI to be your competitive edge, I don't know, maybe you got a good 6 months with that, right? I have a quote here this is a general partner, Sarah Wang at Andreessen Horowitz, and she says, as AI becomes increasingly democratized and the underlying models potentially commoditized, applications will need to differentiate on the basis of winning mission-critical workloads. In other words, customers don't buy AI. They're buying solutions to their problems. So let's focus there, right? So let's say a customer is trying to get a job done. Let me give you an example. Maybe they're trying to find answers to questions. In the old world, we'd have to leave our house, go to a library, get a big book off the shelf, have a librarian go shh, and as we quietly read it up. Now we have Google, right? And in the world of AI, there's a lot of new solutions that are coming out at us, right? I don't know if any of you get Seth Godin's daily newsletter. It's great. I love it. And he posted, this is a couple of months ago, better than Google. I haven't done a Google search in months. Perplexity is more powerful, right? If I was Google, I'd be a little bit, I'd be a little bit worried. But don't count them out yet, right? A quote here from Marty Kagan, great products result when you combine a real need or problem with something that is just now possible. And a lot of things are just now possible with AI. That's why it's such a great opportunity. So, there's an example of one job. Let's take another example. How about you're a recruiter and you're trying to fill a position at a company, right? The old solution is you get a stack of resumes, a highlighter, you go through it all, try to find your perfect person. Now with software, we have candidate software systems, right? And the question comes, what about with AI? What's going to happen there? Well, there's a startup in London called Hire Genius. They brought in Cynthia as their CPO about 2 years ago, and they're trying to answer the question. And when Cynthia came in, the first thing she did is that let's look at where our product vision is. Well, actually, the first thing she did is let's upgrade delivery capabilities. Because let's be honest, if you're not releasing code every week or 2 weeks, you cannot be moving fast enough, right? But once she upgraded delivery, then she said, hey, let's look at our product vision, because that's the heart of any great product, right? And just as a little side, what exactly is a product vision? Well, let me tell you what it's not. A product vision is not a list of features. It's not cool things your product can do. It's not your product roadmap. It's not the number of countries you operate in. It's not your org chart, your revenue, your market capitalization, or your market share. It is none of those things. The first couple things on that list is output. The last couple things are the impacts, what you get from running a business well, right? A product vision is how you're going to make a dent in the universe. Note, That is an outcome. A product vision is how you're going to make a customer's life better. That is also an outcome. All right, I'm going to just I'm going to call it a not so irrelevant tangent here. And I've been using these words outcome and output. So I just want to take a second to make sure we're all on the same page. I'm going to define an outcome as a change in human behavior that drives business results. Ideally, by having as few features as possible. If we can do it with 2, that's better than 5, right? It's a definition from Josh Seiden and Jeff Gotthelf. An output, on the other hand, is a tangible deliverable from your project, right? So some examples. Outcome might be, I want to increase customer satisfaction. The output I'm going to use is a chatbot. My outcome I might be seeking is to increase the number of leads. My output might be to buy a Facebook ad. My outcome, I want to increase customer retention. My output might be create a strong onboarding experience, right? Or another example of this dichotomy comes from the world of competitive dog training. All right. Now, in this competition, the outcome that we would like to see is that a dog can run a course surrounded by lots of tasty distractions and not be distracted. All right. So here's our first competitor. Let's see how she does. So here we go. Here's our trainer. She's got several outputs. She's got her voice, her posture, right? All right, here we go. Flawless outcome. Oh, look, there's another output. She can give a reward, right? All right, second competitor, looking focused, looking intense. Here we go. Oh, all right, not perfect, but not too bad. Here's our third competitor. A very different outcome, right? Sometimes I feel like this is how it goes with our customers. Right? All right, here comes our trainer. She's going to get a little more directive with her output. All right, now we're getting super directive with our output. All right, if dog competitions were judged based on how much output the trainer gave, that third trainer would win hands down. But unfortunately for her, dog competitions, kind of like markets, don't care about how much output you do. They only care about outcome. So let's go back to our main story. We are talking about a product vision is the heart of any great product. We want that set on the outcome level, the impact you're going to make on the world, how you're going to make a customer's life better. We're talking about hire genius. So after she upgraded the delivery capabilities, Cynthia went on and said, okay, let's think about the product vision. And she could imagine forward, what would be my ideal customer experience? What would I like that to look like in the future? And on a napkin, literally, napkin, she wrote this down. And she was like, all right, the first thing, a recruiter has a call with a company. What? Imagine. But we want to keep that in real life because they're developing a relationship. But wouldn't it be cool that when they hung up the phone, they could get an automated transcript of the phone call? And then the computer system would ask them, like, hey, do you want to make a job post? And if you say yes, it would go ahead and take a first pass. And then wouldn't it be cool if the AI system could then source candidates for you automatically and figure out who would be the best match, right? And then wouldn't it be cool if the AI system could then go ahead and start contacting people for you, right? The first draft of an email. And then wouldn't it be cool if technology could help us schedule that appointment, right? Wow, that would be awesome, right? And I don't know about you guys, but oftentimes with product teams I work with, they've got a long list of potential ideas, things they can do. People come by and be like, you know what, support bot, that's big. You got to have a support bot. Support bots are great, right? But what Cynthia did, instead, she said, let's take a look at this ideal future customer experience that I want to create. And then maybe we'll look at what technologies are needed to enable each step. And maybe we should do that. And everything else, I always say, oh, that's something for V2, next version, right? And if someone comes to you and says, okay, and I get it, right? Like if you have a salesperson who comes in and says, I've got a big multi-million-dollar deal that, it's going to be big revenue for our company, but they say we need to have a support bot, right? Like maybe we should go ahead and make a support bot because we like to have money. Or maybe your CEO comes in and be like, I am super passionate about support bots. Maybe we want to prioritize that because we like having a job, right? But all the time, let's make that a conscious decision that we are stepping away from our product vision of what we want to do. And this is all at the outcome level. Of course, we're going to do rapid experimentation to validate things. All right, cool? Ready? We're going to go a layer deeper. Here's another job. We want to create a blockbuster movie. There's the old-time solution with the old-timey movie studio. Today's movie studio are a different animal, right? A lot of technology. The question is, what's the future with AI, right? Well, if we want the answer, maybe we could go to Hollywood, where there's a lot of big studios out there. And here I have a quote from the chairman and CEO of Sony Pictures. And he says, we'll be looking at ways to use AI to produce films for theater and television in more efficient ways using AI primarily. Like they're on it. The Hollywood studios have hired a lot of very smart tech-savvy people, right? And what is he talking about? Pre-visualization and sleeveboxing with AI, visual effects editing and post-production with AI, game engines and LED wall technology sets with AI, right? But notice what he doesn't say. We're going to use AI to make the movie, to write the movie. Why doesn't he say that? Do you guys remember the Hollywood writers' strike? Right? Shut down Hollywood. They were striking over many things, some of it residual payments for streaming services, but they see the AI as a clear and present danger that it is to them. And so they were striking, saying AI is not going to take our jobs, right? But meanwhile, over in Pakistan, Adnan, an engineer, has created a software that will turn text into video, into games, into metaverses, right? And maybe, just maybe, the future of creating a blockbuster movie is this. Somebody who has a day job, but on weekends goes to a cafe and sits there and they're writing their next great blockbuster. They might spend like $1,000 for like software and lattes, right? Maybe that's the future of creating a blockbuster movie, right? I kind of feel like when new technology comes in, the first thing we do is we say, how can we make it more efficient, right? Like when the web first came out, like the first websites were basically companies took a PDF of their annual report and put it up there, right? But it takes a while for us to like back in and be like, hey, we've got this mobile phone, maybe we can do Uber, right? It takes us a while. And doing this often requires disruption, right? So we know this, like there's a disruptor and the incumbent, and each has their advantages. The disruptor, right, their lower costs are going after markets that, the big guys can't be bothered to go after just to get their foothold. They don't have any legacy. They've got lower cost. They can move faster, right? They can exploit business model conflicts, like your writers won't let you use AI, right? That's the disruptor playbook. So if you're an incumbent, that's some bad news, right? $1,000 blockbuster. But don't worry, the incumbents, they've got some advantages. They've got their playbook, right? The first thing, distribution. So for example, here we have Slack with their daily active users, not bad, line that goes up and to the right, until we look at Teams. So I don't know you may have to decide for yourself, like which is a better software, Slack. But if you think Teams is do you think Teams is actually 7 times better than Slack if you think it's better? Or did Microsoft just bundle that with Office and jam it out through their very powerful distribution force, right? If you go back, I started this talking about the one blade that sold 100 million blades in 5 years. Do you think that's all because I did rapid experimentation on the go-to-market strategy? Or do you think that's because Philips has an incredibly powerful distribution system? Like both are needed, right? But come on, distribution, right? I have a quote here from another Andreessen Horowitz partner, Alex. He says, the battle between every startup and incumbent comes down to whether the startup gets distribution before the incumbent gets innovation, right? Incumbents have distribution. But you know what? Today's incumbents, they're also really good at innovation. These are not our grandfather's incumbents, right? They're good. I have here, this is stock market performance of the S&P 500 compared to Google, Apple, and Microsoft. Because I'm from the Netherlands, I'll put a little orange up there and put booking as well. I took it back to November 2022 when ChatGPT was released. So these guys see a new technology and be like, ooh, and they're rolling with it really fast, right? And what it is, why are they so good? Like, how did they get that innovation? They are fully scaled on what I'm going to call the product operating model, right? And this is how Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook are running, right? And what it is, it's all based around empowered teams. Let me take a dive on what this means. In an empowered team model, management determines what problems we're going to solve. And when I'm talking about that, that is on the outcome level, right? The problem they're not asking you to solve is how can I get a blue button onto the screen? And then product, design, and engineering, and I should probably add after Sean's talk this morning, growth, solve these hard problems together. And our tools are continuous product discovery and continuous product delivery, right? Now, this is very different from what I'm going to call a delivery feature team, which is kind of how a lot of other companies operate. And in a delivery or feature team, management or sales decide what features to build. And you know how this happens, right? Either sales comes in and they're like, I just signed a really big deal. It's going to be big revenue for the company, but I did promise them that we would have a chatbot. So you guys over there in design and engineering, go make me a chatbot, right? Or management comes in and they're like, listen, we had a management offsite with the board last weekend. We did lots of PowerPoints, lots of discussions, and we came up and you know what we need? We need a chatbot. So you guys over there in design and engineering, go give me a chatbot, right? And then design and engineering implement these features based on the roadmap that's given to them. Stakeholders align with it, right? And we don't really have a product manager. We have a product owner, which is an agile scrum term. We don't need a product manager because we're not doing continuous product discovery. That's the role of the product manager. We only are doing continuous product delivery. And now I know when I talk about this dichotomy between product owner, product manager, I'm having an American perspective on it. I know in Europe, the titles blend, right? I'm more concerned with, are you doing customer discovery? And are you figuring out what it is you need to build? Because it turns out, if you're over to the right, results in more tech debt. We all know what tech debt is, right? If Google wiped out all their code and redid it, it would probably be a little more efficient and a little more effective, right? That delta is a tech debt. It's more ad hoc. On the left, results in better product design. It's just like there's a reason these products fit like a glove, right? We're more responsive to changing market needs. We can also go even further left with product-led growth, right? That's an acquisition tactic, freemium, free trial, open source, some companies that are doing it. VCs love this because it's a lower cost to acquire customer, right? It lets you scale faster. But good luck doing that if you're not doing already the product operating model. It's kind of like a prereq. And I know it's not this easy. I make it look easy, black and white, right? It's kind of shades of gray or blue, right? And I put traditional company on the left. Make no mistake, there are some legacy companies that are all the way over there on that side. They're fully scaled running on the product operating model. And there are some startups that are all the way over on this side, right? I gave a talk about 2 years ago. It was really just to founders of scale-ups in the Netherlands. I had 10 minutes, as long as they give me. I basically did this slide, a little build-up to it, in that 10 minutes. And just last week, I had one of the founders come to me and was like, you know, we changed everything in our company, and we decided we wanted to be on the left, and we started working with outcomes. So this is not a matter of oh, we have lots of money, right? It's just a matter of how you're thinking about things. And don't get me wrong, it's not so easy to execute, but to make the decision to do so is very easy. All right, so incumbents get innovation, they've got distribution, they also have some network effects at their disposal, right? We know all these things here. So those are, I can't tell you who's going to win in this world. Is it going to be the disruptor or the incumbent? You know, incremental innovation, much safer. Disruptor, big returns. I don't know who's going to be. Just like if we were in the Cambrian explosion, I couldn't tell you which of these two animals is going to end up today scaring children at campgrounds around the world, the descendants of that animal, the morella, and which one's going to be the hallucinogenia and not make it, right? I can't tell you that. All I can tell you is help your customers get a job done better. It's probably your best chance at succeeding. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. And let's open up for questions. Any hands we see in the audience? Yes, we see here one, please.
Thank you very, very much for the presentation. Very intrigued about the hardware comparison, so please elaborate on that. Thank you.
Sure. You know, it's funny, I'm a software kid from Silicon Valley, so I think software. I come to the Netherlands, which has a very deep hardware tradition, and all of a sudden I'm in all these hardware companies. And so at first that threw me. I'm like, I'm used to, we just change a couple of code lines, right? But you know what? It can totally be done with hardware. Half of it is just mindset. I've seen hardware companies come out with prototypes that they make with cardboard and duct tape, right? And it's not a matter of software companies are releasing code every week, every hour, every day. If a hardware company goes from a 2-year release cycle to a 1-year release cycle, that's awesome, right? So yeah, no, it's totally possible. You can do it. There's a book by, who's that guy who founded Nest? He was a I can't remember his name. There's a guy who wrote it, the guy who founded Nest, and he came from Apple beforehand. He wrote a book about a year ago, and he's a hardware guy. He's doing all this. So I would read that book for more. You can find out what the book is.
Yeah, okay. We'll follow up on that. And some more hands, some more questions. All right. One more.
Hi, Janet, amazing presentation, really interesting. There was a comparison between search engines and AI-powered search engines, that in a regular, let's say, Google search, there are many ads, and there is a disruption between the real answer versus AI search engine. But don't you think that at some point, AI search engine will be monetized, and the answer also might not be the best one just because it might be paid? So what's your thought on that?
I would say, I mean, even today are we sure we're getting the best answer? There's gender biases, race biases, the algorithm is very biased, in my opinion. But yeah, I feel I don't know if it's going to be the morella that makes it or the hallucinogenia. We'll see how it goes. I don't have an answer to that one, but it is a good concern, big one.
Very good question. And one more over there.
Yes, quick. One of the slides that you present, a great presentation, by the way. Oh. Yeah, very inspiring, honestly speaking. This is great. And I have one question. Maybe you can double click on the things that you mentioned on one of the slide that actually differentiate between traditional company and product ones, right? That first lines on both columns is management, but management is kind of different, right? First management is /sales, and the opposite one will be management, which is thinking about outcome rather than kind of product train. And the question that I have about this, if you come up with 3 questions, like a fundamental, in order to give it the sense what question to leadership to distinguish where we are, what will be those 3 questions?
So if I come into a company and I'm trying to move them towards, further over towards being a product operating model, I go in and I talk to people at all levels, not just management, because management sometimes has one idea and the frontline engineer is no, right? But I want to know, how do you choose what problems to solve? how do you go about solving them, right? And I kind of am focusing on those areas when I talk to them. So it's like, how do you, like, who decides what problems are we going to go after?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Anyone else has a question or wants to say thank you for indeed an amazing presentation? That's also fine. If not, well, yeah, we don't. Okay. I wanted actually to double click also on a very interesting fact, right? So you worked closely directly with one of the essentially creators of Jobs to be Done methodology.
Yeah, I did.
For the record, so.
I didn't mention that. Tony Olwick, he wrote,
And also from my own practice, working with both sides of the spectrum, the companies, I feel like the technique is very helpful, and maybe you can share also with the audience some of the kind of tools, techniques that you would recommend if someone maybe hears about this for the first time, or maybe, we often live in a world where we can, yeah, we heard about it, maybe we even read an article, but like, have we actually done it, And have we actually tried to do it for maybe long enough?
Yeah.
So any advice where to start with Jobs to be Done?
Yeah. First of all, have folks heard of Jobs to be Done? Who's heard of it? Okay. Yeah. I didn't mention that in my background. I spent 3 years in the office next to Tony Olwick, who is the founder of Jobs to be Done. Clayton Christensen popularized it. Tony was the engineer who figured it out. So he is an engineer who's very logical and rational. Emotions are these weird things over here that we just kind of try to ignore. So I feel like Jobs to be Done is very good for functionally complex and information-intensive products, right? It's not good for I joke fashion and Fruit Loops and things like that. But like if you have a banking app where there's lots of decisions, it's a really good way to figure that out. I left the Jobs to be Done world with Tony because that was just about the time Lean Startup was coming on. And I was super interested with rapid experimentation. And Tony's answer to that is you don't need to experiment. If you get the job right the first time, you will have your answer, right? Which I was like, really? So I wanted to blend and combine the two. And so that's kind of why I left. So I'm in this world of rapid experimentation, but always in the back of my head, I am thinking, what is the customer job? And using that, and it's like stripping away features are nothing more than point-in-time solutions to get a job done. I'm always trying to strip those away and figure out what exactly are they trying to get done. And like people give me a job map and they'll be like, well, first I have to send an email over to this other department. And I'm like, no, an email is just a point-in-time solution. You can imagine some point in the future when we all have, I don't know, chips in our brain, we could just blink and the other person would get the message, right? Like, don't focus on I'm sending an email. What am I trying to accomplish? And that's the job they're trying to get done.
Right. Awesome. Well, ladies, gentlemen, once again, a round of applause, Jenna. Thank you so much.
All right, cool. Thank you.